the soldier who came home to save his town. The first thing Sergeant Michael Hayes noticed when his plane landed back in America wasn't the sound of the airport. It was the silence inside his own heart. For 14 months, Michael had been serving overseas with the U.S. Army. He had spent birthdays away from home. He had missed Thanksgiving. He had watched Christmas lights through a video call while his wife and 8-year-old son sat beside a tiny tree in their living room. But now his deployment was over. He was finally going home. Michael lived in a small Ohio town called Millstone. When he left for deployment, the town had been struggling. When he returned, it was barely recognizable. The grocery store had closed. The old factory where hundreds of people worked had shut down. The family diner opened only 3 days a week. Even the gas station had reduced its hours. People weren't buying things anymore because people were scared. Scared of losing jobs. Scared of rising prices. Scared of what would happen next. Michael's wife, Sarah, had never told him how bad things had become. Every time they spoke, she smiled. "Everything is fine," she always said. But Michael knew his wife. He could hear worry in her voice. He knew when she was pretending. On the drive home, Michael stopped at the old gas station. The owner, Mr. Walker, recognized him immediately. "Michael Hayes?" Michael smiled. "Yes, sir." The older man walked around the counter and hugged him. "Welcome home, son." Michael looked around. Half the shelves were empty. "How's business?" Mr. Walker gave a tired laugh. "People don't have extra money anymore." Michael nodded. He understood. His army training had taught him something important. A problem doesn't disappear because you stop looking at it. You identify it. You understand it. Then you act. When Michael finally reached his street, he didn't go straight home. He parked around the corner. He wanted to surprise Sarah and his son, Noah. He walked toward the house carrying only a small duffel bag. Inside the house, Noah was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework. Sarah was looking at a stack of bills. Then there was a knock. Sarah opened the door. She froze. Michael stood there. For 3 seconds, neither of them moved. Then Sarah screamed. "Michael!" She ran into his arms. Noah came running from the kitchen. "Daddy!" Michael dropped his bag. His son jumped into him so hard that Michael nearly fell backward. Michael held him tightly. "I told you I'd come home," Noah whispered. "I knew you would." That night, the family ate dinner together. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't fancy. Just chicken, rice, and vegetables. But Michael thought it was the best meal he had ever tasted. Later, after Noah went to bed, Sarah finally told him the truth. "We're behind on the mortgage." Michael looked at her. "How far?" 3 months. He became quiet. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were serving your country." Sarah wiped her eyes. "I didn't want you worrying about us while you were overseas." Michael reached across the table and held her hand. "We're going to figure it out." The next morning, Michael drove through Millstone. He saw empty storefronts everywhere. Then he stopped in front of the abandoned factory. A sign on the building said, "Closed. Property for sale." Michael remembered the factory from his childhood. His father had worked there. His neighbor had worked there. His teachers' husbands had worked there. The factory had once supported almost the entire town. Michael stared at the building for several minutes. Then he noticed something, a small sign on the side wall. "Local Development Grant Available." Michael took a photograph. That evening, he began researching. He discovered that the town had access to several economic development programs designed to help small businesses, veterans, and local employers. The problem wasn't that there was no money. The problem was that nobody in Millstone had organized the community well enough to use the opportunities available to them. Michael called 3 business owners, then 5, then 10. He invited them to a meeting at the local diner. Only 7 people showed up. But Michael didn't care. 7 was enough to begin. He stood in front of them. I'm not here to promise that I can save this town. Everyone listened. I'm here because I know what happens. When people stop believing, they can change something. He opened his notebook. We start small. His idea was simple. Create a local cooperative where small businesses could share equipment, delivery costs, advertising, storage space, and employees. Instead of 10 struggling businesses trying to survive alone, they would work together. The diner could buy vegetables from local farmers. The farmers could use the local delivery service. The repair shop could service the delivery vehicles. The hardware store could supply materials. Local workers could be hired instead of money leaving the town. It wasn't a miracle. It was a system. But there was one problem. Nobody trusted it. We tried things before, one business owner said. Michael nodded. I know. So why should this be different? Michael looked at him. Because this time, we're not waiting for someone else to save us. The meeting ended without a decision. Michael went home disappointed. Noah was sitting on the porch. Did you save the town? Michael smiled. Not yet. Noah thought for a moment. Can I help? Michael laughed. You're 8. I can still help. The next morning, Michael took Noah to the diner. They made handmade flyers. Shop local. Help Millstone grow. Noah decorated every flyer with a badly drawn American flag. The first week, only a few people noticed. Then something unexpected happened. A local farmer offered discounted produce to the diner. The diner started buying from him. The repair shop offered cheaper service to local businesses. A delivery driver who had recently lost his factory job joined Michael's cooperative. Then another person joined. Then another. Within 3 months, 12 businesses were participating. The abandoned factory still stood empty. But Millstone was moving again. Michael used his military experience to organize meetings, create schedules, and make sure everyone kept their promises. He never called himself the leader. He called himself the coordinator. One evening, a local newspaper wrote a story about the project. The headline read, Army veteran helps small-town businesses fight back. The story spread. People from nearby towns began asking how Millstone had done it. Then a manufacturing company contacted the town. They were looking for a smaller American community where they could open a regional facility. Millstone was considered. But there was a problem. The company wanted proof that the town had a reliable workforce and a strong local business network. Michael brought them evidence. He showed them the cooperative, the delivery service, the farmers, the repair shops, the workers who had rebuilt their businesses. We aren't asking you to rescue us, Michael told the company representative. We're showing you what we're already rebuilding. 6 weeks later, the company announced its decision. They would reopen part of the old factory. 200 jobs would eventually be created. The town celebrated. But Michael wasn't there. He was at Noah's school. His son had a school performance. When Noah walked onto the stage, he looked into the audience. He saw his father. He smiled. After the performance, Noah ran into Michael's arms. You're home. Michael hugged him. Yeah, buddy. Noah looked up at him. Are you staying this time? Michael paused. Then he smiled. I'm staying. Years later, people in Millstone still told the story of the soldier who came home and helped rebuild the town. But Michael always corrected them. I didn't rebuild Millstone. He would point toward the businesses, factories, farms, and families. They did. Because Michael had learned something overseas that he never forgot. A country isn't only its government. A country's economy isn't only numbers on a screen. It's the mechanic opening his garage at 6 in the morning, the mother buying groceries for her children, the farmer planting another crop, the worker clocking in, the small business owner refusing to give up. And sometimes, it's a soldier coming home and reminding everyone that they still have something worth fighting for. Michael had returned home wearing an army uniform, But he discovered that his greatest mission wasn't behind him. It was waiting in his hometown. And this time, he didn't have to fight alone.